AITA for not letting my husband put a Peloton in our sunroom. I am not OOP. OOP is U, Sale Civil 2571. Originally posted to R, Am I the Asshole? AITA for not letting my husband put a Peloton in our sunroom. Original post. January 4, 2024. My husband, 32M, and I, 31F, live in a modest 3-bed 2-bath house. We don't have kids, so it's just the two of us and our dog. We've had the house for years now and have designated personal spots in the house. The biggest bedroom is our room. The medium-sized bedroom is a guest room and my husband uses the dresser in it for his clothes. And the smallest of the bedrooms is my husband's room, a man cave, one may call it. We also have a sunroom, which for the most part has been dedicated as mine. It's a bit of a larger space and is our means to the backyard. We use it a lot for entertaining, but I took control of the decor and the vibe of the room. About a third of the room I have made into a little yoga, Pilates studio. I have plants everywhere and all of my equipment is coordinated to the decor, a great little zen spot if I do say so myself. And the other 2/3 of the room has a sofa and a table and the door to the backyard. My husband's family has a traveling Peloton bike. It's been with his parents, then to us, then with his brother, and now it's traveling back to us. I personally don't like it, but my husband thinks it's a good workout. Anyway, he says he's going to put it in the sunroom. I told him no and said he could put it in the guest room, his room, or the garage. He says that the sunroom has the most space for it and it's the nicest room in the house, so it will be nice for him to work out in there. Now, for those of you who have seen a Peloton bike in person, they aren't the sleekest. It's big and clunky and black, and one does not fit the bright, light natural sanctuary I made the room to be in too. The space he wants to put it in is awkwardly right in the middle of the room, blocking the path to the back door. And since we've had it before, I know what it looks like and the inconvenient space it takes up, which is part of the reason we gave it away the first time. It's not like I said he couldn't put it in the house at all. I gave him other option. So AITA for not letting my husband put a Peloton in our sunroom? Verdict: not the asshole. Relevant comments. Commenter asked why OOP's husband used the guest room dresser for his clothes. Oop. He uses the dresser in the guest room because that's what he wanted to do. He had the option of putting a second dresser in the master, a dresser in his room, or using the guest room. He chose the guest room. And as for me decorating the room, was me elaborating on our dedicated spaces. He designed his man cave and picked the furniture in the guest room for that matter. I designed the sunroom and we did the rest of the house together. Diabetic Weird 0, info. Where was it before and why can't it go there again? Oop. Lol, it was in the guest room. He didn't like it in there. He wanted in the sunroom cause he thought there was more space and he liked that he could crawl off the bike and almost immediately get fresh air in the backyard. At the time I did not have my yoga, Pilates set up. We had a sitting area with the sofa, a chair and a love seat. The table was on the other side of the room. I got rid of the chair and moved the love seat to the side of the room with the table. The bike sat in the middle of the room and it was awkward. I will add this was during COVID, so gyms were closed. We have 2 major gyms that we belong to, walking distance to our house. When the gyms opened, we both were over having the bike in the room and passed it on. He also got annoyed with having to move it every time people came over. Top comments. Saint Enyanka. NTA. He has a room designated his man cave. Why can't it go in there? It sounds like you've divided the house. He has the man cave, you have the sunroom. Offer him to take the sunroom if you can have the man cave, and switch the furniture. See what his reaction is then. Fanclock 314. NTA, this isn't about, what's the best use of this room? It's about, where are we allowed to have our own spaces? He's spread out to 2 other bedrooms. He even has an entire room to himself. The man cave face with rolling eyes. You want a space for communal living. That's having friends over and having a yoga space. Yoga is often a group activity. What it isn't is a giant black block that's for staring at a screen and blocking out the rest of the world. And NBSP. Update. March 19, 2024. 2.5 months later. Update. AITA for not letting my husband put a Peloton in our sunroom. For anyone who cares, he put the Peloton in the sunroom. It is not in the middle of the room as it was before. He did put it in the corner, next to my Pilates equipment. I asked why he couldn't put it in his room and he said there was no room. I asked why he couldn't put it in the guest room and he said he would, but we need to clear stuff out first. That weekend I did a major clean out of the guest room, cleaning out things we didn't need and rearranging to make room for the Peloton. When I showed him the space for the bike, he said, "But it's workout equipment. It should go with the workout stuff." I explained, pointing to his man cave. "This is your space. And the portion of the sunroom is my space. I don't put my things in your space and I would not like the bike in mine." He said, "But you can use the Peloton." Now I'm not going to use it. I don't like it, and the principle of it being in the spot I didn't want it, I definitely won't use it. Is it petty? Yes. Am I proud? Also yes. To add, we recently got a new coffee table and we pushed the old one off to the side. I asked my husband to help me move it into the garage until we can find a way to dispose of it. He kept saying later, and 3 weeks later I decide I can do it myself. It was a bit large and heavy, but it's on wheels, so easy peasy. I may or may not have lost control of the coffee table around a corner and may or may not have put a tiny hole in the wall. There is no hard evidence that it was me, and thus the incident remains alleged. Anyways, given the recent event, I am on a slight probationary period of moving large objects myself. So now, friends, I stare at the Peloton in my space and debate if I A. try to move it myself, B. suck it up and leave it where it is, or C. set the house on fire, collect the insurance money and never see the bike again. And for those who don't understand sarcasm, that was a joke. I'm obviously not going to leave it in the sunroom. Smirk. Thank you to everyone who replied and became invested in my first world problem. It was very much appreciated. Top comments. C. Majuscula. Oh honey. The truly petty thing to do would be to move your Pilates equipment into the man cave. And NBSP. Do not comment in linked posts or message. Oops. BORU rule number 7. This is a repost sub. I am not oop. Why is this marked concluded? Is this really concluded? She seems ready to keep up the fight. Time to take up sewing. The sewing machine, serger, and dress form can go in the man cave. So glad my husband treats me like an equal person worthy of respect. OOP's husband is being a selfish jerk. No amount of moving the Peloton or her Pilates equipment is going to change that. He has a whole ass man cave and decides to use the guest room and his wife's space. I wouldn't be surprised if there's other issues that OOP is ignoring. For anyone who cares, he put the Peloton in the sunroom. I would be telling him that he has 24 hours to remove it before it goes on Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, this isn't about the bike. It's about him being an inconsiderate, selfish prick. $50 says this isn't the only thing he's inconsiderate about, and the Peloton is just the last straw. Nice Peloton you got there. Would be a shame if something happened to it.
bad end.
Invite guests over every weekend so he keeps having to move it. I don't understand how the Peloton is still in the sunroom room and the husband is still alive. This stupid bike keeps getting rehomed by his family because none of them want to deal with it in their space. So Hub's solution is to just put it in OOP's space. Just ridiculous. Like, I know Pelotons are crazy expensive, and people made some questionable investments to keep sane during the lockdowns. But this overpriced piece of equipment is just cycling. Pun unintended, but now embraced lol. It's way through the family. And if this is anything like my family dynamic, there's some kind of sunk cost fallacy, feeling guilty about selling it if other family members might want it. Spoiler. They clearly do not. Or at least not in their current spaces. Put that bike for sale online and get some money for things that people actually want and have room for. Edit for better readability, clarity. She should buy something slightly related to whatever stuff is in his man cave. But he would obviously dislike. Put it in there and got it to the floor. Welp, time to get a drum set and plunk it down where he least wants it. I know this is just one small slice of OP's life, but man, do I hate her husband. On the one hand, I can kind of see how husband convinced himself. There is technically room for the Peloton there. There is other exercise equipment there. It will let him go outside right after. He's like, why wouldn't I do everything I can to maximize my experience? It's also clear he thinks of his man cave as having clear boundaries as his only. While the sunroom boundaries are murkier because it's also a communal, entertaining space. I'm hoping he's just being dumb selfish and not malignant selfish. On seeing that OP thinks of the sunroom as her dedicated space, and that even though it might make sense to put it there, it's unfair to her. By maximizing his experience, he's damaging hers. And that's not something you should be doing to your loved ones. The idea of all of this happening just because of a Peloton and something that could just be easily fixed just shows how silly things can happen in relationship. Maybe I am petty too, but I would have moved it into the guest room lol. I don't know if there's a polite way to ask this, but do these people even like each other? My boyfriend would never treat me with such disrespect. She married an asshole. Time to start hanging laundry on it.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.